Hey y'all, it's Michael and it's VEDA day. Whatever VEDA day it is, I don't know, I forgot. Today I'm gonna be doing a book tag. What a surprise, a book tag. These things are actually really fun. I'm finding out that as I do them more, because I don't use them, I don't usually do them as much, and they're quite really fun. So let's talk about some books. Today I'm going to be talking about the audiobook tag. Now, when I was searching this up, there's a 1.0 version and then a 2.0 version. So I'm going to split this video up and we're going to be doing the 1.1, 1.0 in one video and then the 2.0 on the next video. In case you don't know, I love audiobooks. I listen to a lot. And so I was really excited. I'm really excited to do this tag because I really do enjoy audiobooks. The audiobook tag 1.0 was created by the channel Book and Things, and so I'll link their channel down below. The first question is, have you always listened to audiobooks, and if not, when did you begin? No, I've never actually listened to audiobooks until I started hearing more about it when I was just a creeper on BookTube, not actually making videos. So I just gave it a shot, and then I realized that my library carries a lot of audiobooks, digitally and on CDs, still on CDs. And so I decided to give it a shot, and I just really enjoyed it. I started roughly, I think it was like 2-3 years ago when I started like getting really into audiobooks, and I've enjoyed them ever since. And I love them. What is your favorite audiobook? Oh, this is gonna be hard. I'm gonna pick two for this one, and they are really popular. Obviously, the first one is Harry Potter, narrated by Jim Dale. These are amazing. I read the Harry Potter series as like growing up as a kid and whatnot, and then a few years ago I started listening to them on audiobooks, and my god, they are incredible as audiobooks, and the narration is fantastic. The other book that I'm gonna pick is A Series of Unfortunate Events by Lemony Snicket, narrated by Tim Curry. The Series of Unfortunate Events audiobooks are incredible. They are done exceptionally well, and some are done by Tim Curry and some of them are actually done by Lemony Snicket. I do enjoy the Tim Curry ones more than Lemony Snicket, but man, they're fantastic. Actually, it would be like an audiobook that I would listen to again. Like, I would listen to it again. It's A1. Number 3, what is your least favorite audiobook? There's a lot. There's a lot of audiobooks that I do not enjoy, and one of them I can tell you already now, I'm about to go in the audiobook 2.0 because I did not like it at all. And because it's a long audiobook too. If I were to give an answer for this, I forgot which audiobook it was, and it was so bizarre how the narrator kept breathing after each sentence. I could hear them breathe after each sentence. It was so bizarre. I was like, this is really weird. Number 4, what do you think is different in the experience between reading a physical book and listening to an audiobook? Okay, so this is what I really wanted to talk about. So listening to an audiobook versus actually reading is a completely different experience-wise. For me anyways. So one of the questions later I'm gonna talk about like the genre, because for me I really do pay particular attention when I pick an audiobook to listen to and what genre it is, and I'm gonna talk about that in a minute. But for me, people are so visual, like everything that we see a lot of the times are just so visual, and so training yourself, training yourself to learn how to hear to read is an experience. It took me quite a while until I finally got it, and I actually started with books that was like I thought in my head would be easy. Nonfiction is a great example of this, because I've come to find out that like a lot of nonfiction writing is very straight to the point. There's no fluffiness about it. Nonfiction, I think, is the best genre to start off when you're listening to audiobooks, because it's really similar to how we listen to radio. I say this because when you're starting listening to audiobooks, training yourself how to listen, like visualizing it, as when similar how do you read, it does take quite a while. The main difference for me is more of the language per se, and I'm going to talk about that on in question number 6. But question number 5 is, how and when do you find listen to audiobooks? I only listen to audiobooks during basically 2 times during the day. One is when I'm getting ready, after I'm finished taking a shower, like getting dressed and things like that. But and when I'm driving, like when I'm driving to places, I mainly listen to audiobooks at work. That's mainly where I listen to audiobooks because I work before our store opens, and it's a huge stretch of time. Every day, I leave about an hour and 30 minutes of that listening time before we open, and after I listen to an audiobook. this is like, this is more complicating than necessary. To listen to like podcasts or on Fridays, I don't tend to listen to audiobooks as much. I only listen to audiobooks on Fridays for roughly an hour instead of like 3 hours. And I say that because on Fridays it's like when new music get released, so I like to listen to like the new music that just got released. Like this Friday, like previous Friday, I listened to a little bit of my audiobook, and then afterwards, I wanted to listen to Kendrick Lamar because his new album just got released, and I like to listen to audiobooks. I like to listen to CDs, like the whole thing, like start to beginning, no skipping. I'm not skipping, and just listen to it like an experience. That's how I enjoy listening to albums, and so that's what I always do on Fridays. And then on Saturday mornings, I don't listen to audiobooks. Like as I go down to the market, I listen to music. But any other time, like at work or as I'm driving, I tend to listen to audiobooks. And I just have if I'm here's the thing though, like when I'm in a like if I'm in my feelings, I tend to listen to audiobooks. But like let's say I'm going home from Starbucks and I'm feeling really happy because I just consumed a lot of caffeine, I would listen to music instead of listening to audiobooks. And the thing the thing is, with audiobooks, I tend to listen a like a big chunk, like 30 minutes or more at a time. Wow, that's a really long answer. What style slash genre do you prefer on audiobook? Okay, so this is what I really wanted to talk about. For me, the genre or like the style I would have to say is easy listening, like easy listening writing, if that makes any sense. Basically, I try to stay away at all costs from literary fiction when I am listening to audiobooks because I don't do that often. And I say this because it's really hard for me to grasp what the author is saying when it's so literary and like so like like fluffy almost, like the writing is so dense and so descriptive. It's really hard for me to listen and comprehend exactly what they're saying, and that goes with science fiction and fantasy, especially fantasy, especially high fantasy. High fantasy in general, high fantasy is just so descriptive. Like there's a lot of world building. They're just hard for me. They're really hard. The other genre I would probably say is also probably classics, but classics is such a broad term. But more classics, like maybe older classics. Like I could never listen to like Jane Eyre or like War and Peace, or like I could never listen to those on audiobooks because I would not be able to understand it. And I think that's something that took me a while to understand. Like I was like, oh, I don't really understand what's going on. And that was because of the genre. Like there are some genres for me that I can't listen to and comprehend. Now, the genres that I can listen to and that I always gravitate towards to is first off young adult, and that's just because young adult, when a lot of them tend to be more easier to digest as audio. Middle grade is really good. That goes along with like young adult too. The main genre that I really do gravitate towards to that I enjoy the most is probably nonfiction. And that's because nonfiction a lot of the times are just straight to the point. There's no fluff. This is it. This is what I'm telling you. This is what happened. And they're really easy to digest as audio. They sound similar to like a radio or like a podcast, so I really enjoy it in that sense. Give some recommendations for audiobooks. Now the next like 2.0, a lot of these questions I'm going to be able to give you guys more recommendations, so watch that one for more recommendations. But basically one of my favorite narrators I'm going to recommend, and you probably know what book I'm going to recommend, is right here is Robin Miles. I love her as a narrator. She's amazing. Every time I see a book I'm interested in, like that's an audiobook, and I see that she's narrating it, it's a done deal. I'm going to listen to it right away. But I'm gonna give a recommendation for a really cool audiobook that I think is done so well with like it has multiple narrators, and that's William Shakespeare's Star Wars. Oh my god. These audiobooks are done so well. And it's a good audiobook too if you just hey, it's a good audiobook too if you just started listening to audiobooks, because if you watch the movie, it's literally like watching the movie but told in like Shakespearean language, like Old English. It's done so well, and it has like special effects noises. It's a really cool audiobook. I'm gonna talk more about audiobook recommendations on part 2. So yeah, if you did this tag, I would love to check out your video, or if you listen to audiobooks, let me know and what you think about them. Until then, I'll see you guys till later. Bye!